everyone, this is Dr.T Varalakshmi discussing you about the question bank and possibility of short-term, long-term and critical thinking questions to be asked from the third unit of markets and new economic environments of business economics and financial analysis. Here, the questions will be based on the types of competitions and markets, features of the perfect competition basis and imperfect competitive markets like monopoly and monopolistic competitions, and price output determination in the case of perfect competition as well as in the imperfect competitions, and features and evolutions of the different forms of the business organizations like solo proprietorship, partnership, joint stock companies, public enterprises, and private enterprises. So based on these concepts, we'll see what kind of questions they will ask under the short term, long term, and medium term. Short term answers is based on, first of all, define market and write few lines on market structure. A place where the buyer and seller is meeting point is called as the market, so that the buyer's needs, wants, desires are going to be satisfying with the value created product by the seller. See, here the product might be a good or services. The meeting point, the characteristics of the each and every element of the market is called as a market structure. That is the number of buyers, number of sellers, that location, pricing elements, etc., the government impositions, so etc., and its impact on the customer's perceptions. All the characteristics of that market will be called as the market structure. And what do you understand about the product differentiation? So, which means if the same kind of the products are all available in all the market, then there is called as product similarity. But the product differentiation means based on its utility, and its size, color, shape, etc., are also have their impact on the or it's a target group. Various elements are all will be treated as a separate product. For example, same Maggi milk packets, half liter as well as the liter packets, both are different products. They are not the same. And again, same half liter milk which is packed in the normal packet, milk packets and tetra packets. Again, these are all two different elements. Same milk packets, one is from cow and the another is from buffaloes, and again these are all the different products. Same quantity, same products, same thing, same packager only, but that milk is a toned milk or pure milk. So which means, so each and every variation factor from one product to another product might be the differentiation elements that we need to explain here. And write a short notes on perfect competition. So the characteristics of the perfect competition, what is the meaning of the perfect competition, we need to explain. And list out the features of the perfect market. So which means here the easy to enter, easy to close, and all the people are equal, all the price makers, negotiation is possible, perfect knowledge about the market conditions. All these things we need to explain under the features of the perfect market. And what is meant by the monopolistic competition? So, if the number of the buyers are all, to avoid the monopoly situations, they will satisfy their needs, wants with the another differentiated product. That the competition existing between these products sellers is called as the monopolistic competition. Here, next thing is define monopoly competition and features of the monopoly competition. A single seller, larger number of buyers, and that situations we need to explain under the monopoly competition and its features in the market conditions, single seller, larger number of buyers. It is very difficult to enter into that markets. Government regulations will be less. They are the price makers and the buyers are the price takers. So like the features, everything we need to explain here and differentiate between perfect market and imperfect market. So based on the number of the sellers and the buyers, there is a categories are all there. If the both the buyers and sellers are all at larger numbers or sufficient numbers, then it will be called as the perfect competitive market. If there is an imbalance is there in the number of the existing sellers and the buyers, then it will be called as the imperfect competitive market. Again, the imperfect competitive markets are of monopoly, oligopoly, duopoly, monopsony, oligopsony, duopsony. All these elements we can explain and write about the duopoly with examples like Coca-Cola and Pepsi Limited, two sellers, larger number of buyers, its characteristics we need to explain under this question. Next one is define oligopoly with suitable examples, which means a few number of the sellers and the larger number of the buyers are all there. And here there is a chance of the negotiation and association of the sellers will be will be forms, its characteristics, etc. And some of the examples we can explain here. And what is meant by the total revenue, average revenue, and marginal revenue. So what is here? That is the total revenue is equals to selling price into number of units they have sold, and average revenue the total revenue divided by the number of products we can explain, and one level of the revenue to the next level of the revenue increased in percentage change in the expenditures to the revenue, that is marginal revenue basis they'll ask. And list out the features of the solo proprietorship. So a single person which is liable to establish an organization and his responsibility is unlimited, and there is no chance of expansion, decision making, profit and decision making vested with one person. Profits and losses has to bear by the one person. All the limitations as well as the features we can explain in this solo proprietorship. Next thing is, what is meant by the partnership business? So a group of people coming together and investing and combinedly doing a business on the profitability share basis, and that partnership business, and when was it accepted, and what are its features, advantages, etc. We can explain under this partnership businesses. And differentiate between solo trader and partnership. Here we need to explain the characteristics of the solo trader and partnership characteristics side by side. Then list out different kinds of the partners, like active partner, sleeping partner, business partner, the various kinds of the partners we have discussed. So that kinds we need to explain here, and outline any three merits and the demerits of the partnerships. There is advantages and disadvantages of the partnership businesses we need to explain here. And write a short note on partners by estoppels. So partners by estoppels means as per the law what they're all existing, what is its meaning, what are the rules and regulations to this estoppels we need to explain. And defining the joint stock company. So what is a joint stock company? Who is the regulatory? So all these informations, basics informations we need to provide under this joint stock company, and state the meaning of unlimited liabilities, and define market. Write a few lines about on the market structures. What do you understand about the product differentiation? So such kind of questions will be asked under these short term questions. And the scope for the long term questions is explaining how a firm attains equilibrium in the short run and in the long run under the conditions of perfect competition. So under the perfect competition, So, what is the meaning of an equilibrium? And define monopoly. How is price under the monopoly determined? And explain the role of time factor in the determination of price. Also, explaining the price output determination in the case of perfect competition. Explain the following with the help of the table and diagram under the perfect competition and monopoly, and distinguishing the perfect and imperfect markets, and what are the different market situations in the imperfect situations, competition market situations. And perfect competition results in larger output with a lower price than the monopoly. They may ask you to explain about this particular statement, and they may ask you to compare the monopoly and the perfect competitions, and explain the following like monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly, and imperfect competitive markets. And what is a market? Explain in brief about the different market structures. Again, here the monopolies, duopolies, perfect, imperfect elements we need to explain. And monopoly is disappearing from markets. Do you agree with these statements? Do you advocate for monopoly to continue in the market situations? Your opinion on the monopoly markets we need to explain. And define a joint stock company and explain its basic features, advantages, and disadvantages. And a brief note on the solo traders, stationary corporations, elements like cooperative societies, etc. We need to explain, and explain in basic features of the government company from a public enterprises. And what do you mean by solo proprietorship? Explain its meaning and limitations. Every information about the solo proprietorship, as well as the information about the partnership businesses and its features, and differences between the public company, private company, and government companies, and need of the public enterprises and the recent achievements in these public enterprises, and the meaning of the partnership deed and main contents under the partnership deed, and the features of the government company from a public enterprises. And small is beautiful, like solo proprietaries beneficiaries when compared to another business organizations. So these kind of long-term questions there is a chance to ask. And in the critical thinking questions, how does an individual firm behave under the perfect competition? Also explain the firm and the industry equilibrium under the perfect competition. So that is a perfect competition in a critical thinking analysis level. And explain the role of the time factor in determining the price. Also explain price output determination in the case of the perfect competition. That related questions, and explain how the price is determined under the conditions of perfect competitions with uh, illustrated examples and diagrams we need to explain. And monopoly is disappearing from the market. Do you agree? And what are the suggestions we can give for that one? It is believed that the firm under the perfect competition is a price taker and not a price maker. And with the examples, they may ask you to answer these questions. And oligopolies are more likely to match the price cut than the price increases by a competitor. Why? And they ask you to explain with some of the examples. And firms may not maximize profits, but they do have a profit policy. Discuss the above by bringing out clearly the various phases of the profit policy decisions by a firm. That we may ask you to explain about that one. And to maximize the profits in the short run, a perfectly competitive firm produces the output for which price is equal to average variable cost. Why not? If it is yes or no, we need to justify our answers. And in the case of perfect competition is sometimes referred to as a benchmark industrial structure. In this context, what do you think commentators means by a term benchmark? So what is the meaning of the benchmark? That one. And assuming that firms in the short run are earning above normal profits, and explain what will happen to these profits in the long run, and for a market having perfect competitions, and then ask you to explain about that one. So these are all the possible cases of the questions to be asked under the short term, long term, and critical thinking questions from this Unit 3 of Markets and Market Structures. Thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.